I said, hey yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy MoHodls, and we're back with another video. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Happy July 4th or early July 4th if you're watching this video at the time of recording. But you know, we're gonna be jumping into XRP today. Everything XRP. We're gonna take a look at on-chain data. We're gonna look at some of the support around the XRP ledger. We're gonna be jumping into a bunch of developments on the XRP ledger. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Taking a look at the daily, XRP has been pretty green for the most part. And, you know, for the most part, I mean, listen, you know, we're still continuing to chop. There's not really much of an update, except we're watching this lawsuit drag on and on. But again, you know, when we look at the fundamentals, like looking at how long this has been chopping, right? We approached 2009 fucking days, right? Actually, let's go back. Let's really get the number here, right? Because the weekly just closed about an hour and a half ago. It's been about 2,000 days since we've continued to go sideways. And for all my range traders, what you guys can see here is that liquidity was taken at the high, liquidity was taken from the low, and we've continued to chop here for about 2,000 days. So with that, I mean, listen, we're probably going to see, you know, this continue to drag out, but it's my opinion that we're going to be going higher here. And the reason for that is simply because the momentum on the RSI is very, very bullish. As you guys can see here, we're entering a bullish zone on the 2-week. I mean, listen, once you get above the 50 level, that's like wave 1 territory, right? Going into wave 2 and then into wave 3, right? The RSI usually gets extremely high in wave 3 and then kind of go sideways, and then that's when wave 5 happens, and then you get the divergence like you see over here, right? This is very, very common. And again, we are looking at the 2-week chart, so this is going to be a little bit you know, different, but the idea and, you know, strategy does remain the same, right? Now granted, again, we're still sitting here waiting for the big move, and until that happens, we're going to continue to stay sidelined. And again, I must say, like, this range is absolutely gorgeous, right? Going sideways for 2,000 days, right? And we're continuing to see bullish momentum, okay? And why do I say bullish momentum? Because it's very simple. On the next chart, I'm just gonna go over here. What you can see, excuse me, is a series of higher highs here and higher lows. And this is on the weekly chart. And this is also over a 1-year time span, right? This is 413 days. We've sat inside this low, but we've continued to see momentum to the upside. Now, how exactly does this play out? Nobody fucking has an answer to that. Unless you're a market maker and you have unlimited money, guess what? Nobody knows the real answer for how long it chops. However, something I have said in my last video, literally a month ago, is the same exact thing I'm gonna repeat right now. As long as we're holding this red box, we are bullish. Why, Mo? Why do you say that for? Because it is the most important level on the whole entire XRP chart, right? Because what you can see from before, back in 2017, it acted as a support when we first got here. Guess what? Acts as a support again. But like I've said as well, you know, supports and resistances never break on the first try. Usually, there's always some type of retest that takes place and then it is broken. So with that being said, we see a break of the resistance or support, and then it turns into a resistance over here. It turns into resistance over here. It's a resistance there, here, here, right? So for basically about, you know, 1,000 days, it's a resistance. But guess what? Like I said earlier, when the resistances are basically continued to be tapped with momentum to the upside, again, what you see here is, you know, a higher low, a higher low, higher low, lower low, lower low, and lower low, right? So that's obviously bearish momentum. But over here, what you start seeing is a higher low, right? A high, a higher high, a higher low. And then basically a really higher high, but obviously this is the lawsuit. This is when it all happened, the lawsuit there. But it quickly recovers and then continues to have momentum to the upside, and price pretty much breaks that resistance, right? And then it becomes, guess what? You guessed it right, a support a support, and a support. So 3 times this zone acts as a support, and then, like I said before, resistances nor supports break on the first try, and that is when it breaks in May of 2022. And you can see here in September of 2022, it acts as a resistance, but if you've been paying attention, I'm going to get rid of all these little drawings, and I tried to explain all this to try to help most of the viewers understand from a simple explanation that the momentum now is like it was back in 2020 when we started going up again, right? You're seeing the high, a higher high and higher lows, the same way we saw it over here, right? So this is very, very identical before we see the big move up like we did over here. So this is pretty much what I'm trying to show you guys. I do believe that we're going to see a big move to the upside because of the momentum. The RSI, ironically enough, was also very bullish at that level, the same way it is over here. I mean, it's not really difficult to look at these and piece them together, but it's about looking at the right things, paying attention to little subtle hints, and identifying key levels, right? This red box is the most important key level in my opinion, because as I've said, if we hold above here, then we are very bullish, and that is the number one thing I am watching on this chart. So we'll see how that ages. Of course, I mean, this chart is just absolutely ready to go. I know that, again, the lawsuit is continuing to drag out, but honestly, I did get annoyed for quite a while, but listen, it is a buying opportunity. This opportunity is not gonna last, and for those who are understanding of what is in this lawsuit as far as the circumstances, what's happened, you guys are reading the briefs, keeping up with the lawsuit, you guys are the ones who are ahead of the curve, and you guys will be handsomely rewarded, let's hope for the best, for your due diligence, right? Because at the end of the day, anything you invest in, it's all about doing your own research and trying to position yourself as best as possible. But moving on to the market cap chart, which is obviously very, very clean as far as price action, and again, this is the same level that we saw under the red box over here. Is pretty much almost a very, very similar level, but this is again measured in market cap. So what you guys can see here is I believe that we're watching a 5-wave sequence play out all the way back from 2014, of course, to 2018, and now we're watching right now another 4 years probably play out exactly the same, which I think is quite interesting. Of course, when you measure the move all the way to the top, took about 1,280 days, and I don't know exactly how long it'll take, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar relationship. It could play out longer, of course, but also when you look at the correction from the low, you do get a close low as far as time. You get what 1280 to 790, which is not bad. It's okay, but ideally speaking, you do want to see a one-to-one relationship between impulses. As far as the corrections, as long as it's 1/3 of the impulse, it's perfectly fine and acceptable in Elliott wave according to Neo wave. So we'll see what happens, but again, I do believe that this one has already been completed as a clean 5 waves up, and now we saw again a zigzag correction on the way down to equal wave 2, and we're watching a slow diagonal for wave 1 of the major wave 3. So if I had to draw this out, I believe something like this is on the cusp of playing out. And again, it's kind of crazy to say that because I didn't think I would get this bullish this early, but it's just like everything is kind of aligning right now as far as what we expect with the lawsuit, the timeline, and also holding the support level back at 45 cents. And again, I don't even think that there is a bearish scenario anymore, honestly. And if there is, I just want to be very vocal that 25 cents is probably going to be the bearish scenario. In whatever instance that we do see a wave failure, which is possible, I think 25 cents is going to be the area we go to, simply because this area has been weakened, right? So when there's a lot of consolidation, you usually see a move up, and then you'll see it pretty much reverse, where basically a range goes up, you'll see a high being tapped, and then it'll go down again. And there's many examples like that. I'm going to show you guys one here, but back to what I was trying to say over here, we're probably going to see big moves to the upside, And again, the lawsuit is really like about to end at any moment. I know that September is pretty much where Judge Torres has to, give some type of guidance or pretty much put out the summary judgment motion, because if she doesn't, according to the John Deaton, she kind of has to tell Congress why she hasn't been able to do her job, which I highly doubt. And luckily, Judge Torres has been very, very vocal about how the SEC is not acting out of the faithful allegiance to the law, and even called them hypocrites. I think it might be Judge Nutburn that said that they were hypocrites. But overall, both judges are really not siding with the SEC and are calling, the SEC pretty much like shady, right? I mean, they can't technically say that, but that's kind of what it means. But looking at the XRP BTC chart, another chart that is very, very ugly to look at, because as you guys can see here, this is not really clean at all. This is not what you want to look at. However, I do think it's interesting that we're at the most pivotal level on the chart, and this level here that I draw at 1568 is the most important in my opinion, simply for the fact that, again, when the price is trending up, this area acts as support. When it's trending, downwards, and this acts as a resistance, right? So we'll see how this ages. Of course, I'm not really too crazy about this chart, but something else I like to throw over all these. What the heck? Something I like to throw over all this stuff is pivots. So I'm actually going to show you guys how I like to hook up my pivots. I like to use Fibonacci. Of course, you want to lower this down to 1, to 1. You don't need to have all these other colors, which is kind of distracting. But I think Fibonacci doesn't even go up to R5. But this is something I like to add for a little bit of confluence. And what you guys can see here is essentially that, technically, according to the pivots, it's already been rejected. But I don't know why it's not giving any values, which is a little strange. But we'll see what happens. Again, this level, S1, is the first pivot or first support level. And as you guys are aware, if we're definitely retesting the support, we're not really, as bullish on the BTC pair. So maybe there is more room for BTC to run before we see a bigger move for the XRP chart. But I think it's, again, the BTC chart does look decent. It's not extremely bullish. There's definitely better pairs. But when we look at the total market cap, which is also another thing I've been talking about very, very often on my Twitter, and I made an all-season video recently, is how bullish this chart is, okay? And I talk about how, the bottom has already been put in a while ago because of how this range has been playing out. Pretty much liquidity was taken at the highs over here. This is when everyone started screaming for, new highs and continuing to go crazy, but not looking at how this could be a potential sweep of the high. And I think I tweeted this about Bitcoin pretty much at 69K, and I kind of got made fun of, but only after we started dumping, everyone started saying, wait a minute, that might have been a fake out. So I think it was a Taproot announcement that happened at the high of Bitcoin. But anyways, right now we've pretty much bottomed, in my opinion. I do think that the altcoin market is going to continue to go crazy right now, right? Now, again, it might not be the altcoin market that just goes by itself, but I do think because Bitcoin dominance is definitely killing it right now, it's going to go higher. So this can play out in a lot of ways. But what I'm watching for is for Bitcoin dominance to enter this range back at 48.93. And then, only then, I would believe that an altcoin season is underway. Just like we saw the range back in 2020, when before altcoin season took place. I'm looking for something similar. Again, this is very bullish. So that means to me that altcoins are less likely to dominate Bitcoin. And so again, it's just about patience, looking at these indicators and putting two and two together. But because the total market cap is very, very, bullish, who knows what can happen? And we all know that the lawsuit can end at any moment, and that alone can take XRP all the way to all-time highs. Because again, like, you can't factor that into price, right? Just like with the Luna collapse, right? Nobody knew that Luna could retrace so much, but because of something fundamental that broke, it sent the price all the way down to essentially zero. So XRP has that going for it. The fact that one announcement can just literally send the skyrocketing and going into a wave 3 like I've described. But at the same time, I do want to keep a neutral, a bias, even though, again, I want to make sure you guys understand I am very bullish on XRP because, let me pull this up over here. I got the wrong chart. So this is what I wanted to share, back in June 21st, that we're still very, very bullish. And this is a very easy illustration. again, momentum to the upside, resistance is getting weaker and weaker. And again, like I said, resistances don't break in the first try, but we are pushing higher and higher. And I do believe that it's only a matter of time that we break this. And when we do, I do expect a really strong breakout, not a little one. I expect a very strong breakout. So again, we'll see what happens, but also want to talk a little bit about what's happening around the XRP ledger. There's a lot of development, lots of apps being created, and also QuickNode is now supporting the XRP ledger. This is what you want to see, infrastructure slowly being built out. Now granted, there's always infrastructure, but even with other things like, XP markets and all these data analytic tools that you can see on-chain, data with, which is also really cool, is slowly being rolled out. And even over here, I think I spoke about this last month, but you're seeing, again, part-time developers and full-time developers, or total active monthly developers, continuing to trend upwards for the most part here on the XRP ledger. So it's not horrible, but again, you're seeing it grow 52% over the year. And again, overall, it's very, very good. You're seeing commits go up, which is basically like, people starting to roll out their apps from GitHub. So again, we'll see what happens, but this is something just to monitor. If you want to look at a blockchain, it's very, very cool. You can look up developerreport.com. I'm not affiliated or sponsored, but thought it was very, very cool. And I want to make sure that you guys understand, I've been in this market for literally 6 years. And even after the lawsuit took place, guys, I had hands of steel. You see this? Lots of drama on XRP being a security. I do not think it could be classified as being a security, and I will continue to keep adding. This is literally 2 days or 3 days after the lawsuit, and I've continued to buy, continue to watch the market, because at the end of the day, as long as you're paying attention to the facts and circumstances of this lawsuit, then guess what? You should have no worries at all that, this is not going to end well for Ripple, and most likely will free the XRP ledger in the United States, because once XRP is listed, more people can develop and build on the XRP ledger, because more people can be involved and easily buy XRP, right? Because look, not everyone's downloading Uphold, not everyone's trying to find ways to buy XRP, because the common user is not really that invested into crypto. But with that, I appreciate you guys very much for making it to the end of the video. Please like and subscribe, because it really does help the algorithm. And as always, haru haru haru, peace.